Okay, so this is just a free charging station here at the Hampton Inn in Jasper. You got this is a SAE standard J1722 charger, level 2 charger. It'll give you hopefully about 6 to 7 kilowatts of charging power. But what this is it's basically just a glorified relay. It feeds AC into the vehicle, and then the vehicle has an onboard converter to convert it to DC to charge the vehicle. So when we plug this in, we'll hear that relay click, and now we're charging. And so that's going to be about 25 to 30 amps or more going into the vehicle. And there is like a fail-safe here to prevent an arc flash. So when you got high current flow, you potentially have an arc flash situation, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But to prevent that, this latch here will, when it hits, you hear that relay click, so that's stopping the current flow to prevent the arc flash when you pull it out. So this one doesn't come like the Aerovironment I'll show you at my house, but you can stop the charge from the front plate of the charger, but this one doesn't have that. Now, so that's the SAE connector. This is a Tesla charger. Basically all the OEMs except for Tesla, you got BMW, Nissan, Mitsubishi, Chevy, BMW, if I didn't say that already. They all follow the SAE J1722 standard. But Tesla, if you're an Apple customer, you'll like Tesla because they do their own thing. They don't, they're not going to follow USB standards or SD card standards. They're going to do their own memory. But Tesla's kind of the same way. So if you get a Tesla, you can charge off of a SAE J1722 connector, but you're going to pay however many $100 they charge you for the adapter. But that's what the Tesla charger looks like. And I forgot just one other thing. You can keep the charge cord connected, charging the vehicle. If it's fully charged, you can remote start your vehicle and start your environmental controls, so it won't be drawing power off the battery. It'll be drawing power off the grid to keep your environmental controls going, which is going to keep your dog nice and happy in a cool car. So yeah, she's ready to go. She wants to take a walk, so she's staring at me. But yeah, that's a cool thing. You have full state of charge and remote start your vehicle and have the air temperature inside like right where you want it. And this is the AV charger that I bought for my house. It is pretty easy to install. Requires, so this is your black, your L1, your red, your L2, and then your ground. Doesn't require a neutral connection. So that's 240 with the ground being fed in to the charger. Again, it's just a glorified relay. It's got a board in there for comms with the vehicle, and there's a relay like right behind here. But it does have the start and stop button, which that other charger that we were looking at did not have. But it automatically starts when you plug it in. Heard that relay click go off, and now we're charging. We do have the stop button, like I said. So best method to end the charge if it's not fully charged and you want to take off is hit the stop button. This button is really only there for a fail-safe, so you prevent that arc flash. But yeah, that's just another level of protection. So Isn't that AV charger a lot better? What do you think? You like that one better? Yeah, it's a little bit quality. It's a little bit more quality than that junk charger the Hampton Inn. But yeah, I did have to buy. I basically had all the tools I need. It's just screwdrivers, and I had to mount all this stuff up to go to my fuse or my circuit breaker box here. But if the sun wasn't setting, I'd be able to be charging directly from my solar inverter to my car. But yeah, just pretty simple mounting unistrut up the hanger here for the extra cordage on a unistrut. But yeah, I did have to buy, this is kind of an oddball size here, so I did have to buy a spade bit to do the install. But it's pretty simple. It's just a couple of wires connecting up into it with a compression connector. So pretty simple install. So what was that arc flash thing I was talking about earlier? If you remember back to your school days, when you got current flowing, especially a high amount of current, it doesn't like to stop instantaneously. Flowing current creates a magnetic field, and that magnetic field has to collapse, and that produces a big voltage spike, and basically, yeah, you can really do some damage. People have died because of arc flash. It's not necessarily a voltage hazard per se, but it's basically a bunch of hot molten plasma metal flying out of like here an electrical box. But what that does is it just basically vaporizes the metal contactors. So if you ever see a plug like this, that's your arc flash caused that. So yeah, this is a standard NEMA plug. This is your neutral. This is your line. So that's where you're seeing that current just basically being cut off and vaporizing the contactors. So you want to make sure you turn off your charge before you do that. But yeah, this is well, let's show this video. This video is one that I've done. You can see 200 amps and several hundred volts, but produces a nice little flash of hot metal. And here it is. But yeah, this is the results. This is the freeze frame. You can see this is the switch, and this is what it looks like afterwards. There's just a bunch of molten plastic and metal welded together in there. So yeah, that's what an arc flash can do. So, you know, just be sure to turn off your charge before you pull the plug. So 25 amps will still give you, or 32 amps, whatever your charger is, will still give you an arc flash. The AV chargers do have that failsafe there with the button that disconnects the charge before you pull the plug. But you know, some of those chargers out there don't do that. So if they have some kind of failure where they don't detect that switch, they have potential to give you an arc flash, and that'll just ruin the contactors on the plug or the receptacle to your vehicle. So just something to be aware of. So let's talk about money for a little bit. This is prices for lithium-ion batteries as packaged in a battery module, cost per kilowatt hour. So we're kind of looking at historic prices here with the blue. Several years ago, before mass production of lithium-ion batteries, you were seeing upwards of $1,000 per kilowatt hour. So like any battery pack for an EV that would get you any type of range, like 20, 30 kilowatt hour battery would cost you $20 to $30,000. So they're kind of niche market there. But where we're at right now, we're closing in on $200 per kilowatt hour. So for a Chevy Bolt battery, that's 60 kilowatt hours. So that's going to be something like $12,000 for the battery module. And as more and more global lithium-ion production is brought online, 10 years from now, we could see less than $100 per kilowatt hour. So that $12,000 battery is going to cost us $6,000 10 years in the future. So if we need to replace that battery later, we can buy a brand new one for half the cost. Looking over here, we see basically, flatline inflation with inflation going for internal combustion engine vehicle. Average price around $30,000, but with these costs of lithium-ion batteries getting cheaper and cheaper, there's going to be an intersection. So what's the total cost of ownership of your battery electric vehicle versus your internal combustion engine vehicle? There's going to be an intersection here that's been projected to be 2025 for some time now. But there's going to be a lot more EVs on the road eventually. So one thing that the federal government's doing to incentivize that, to incentivize the market to tool up and start making more electric vehicle production lines is, and I've shown this before in a different video, but this is as of the end of 2017. The numbers, the subsidy goes for, it's a phased out subsidy, so once any of these OEMs hit 200,000 vehicle sales, they have this $7,500 subsidy, which all the OEMs get until they hit that 200,000. Then it gets phased out 6 months after that 200,000 gets cut in half, and then another 6 months it gets cut in half again. So GM and Tesla are kind of slated to be, based on market forecasts, I guess, to be the first ones to hit that. So, if you want to buy, kind of now's the time, although, lithium-ion technology is getting more and more mass-produced, so it'll be cheaper later. So you can buy now or buy then. It's really kind of up to you. And one other thing to look at, cost per either fuel or energy costs per mile for a normal internal combustion engine vehicle. Say you get 30 miles per gallon and your cost per gallon is $2.99. You're going to get basically 10 cents, costs you 10 cents of fuel per mile to drive your car. This is right now, for your electric vehicle, I get about 4.4, but it's between 4 and 4.2 is what they use for their calculations on your estimated range. So you get 4.2 miles per kilowatt hour, and your cost per kilowatt hour varies pretty widely, but it's kind of a conservative estimate, 8 cents per kilowatt hour. You can usually get cheaper than that, but your cost per mile is going to be less than 2 cents energy cost per mile running with an electric vehicle. So that's almost a fifth of the cost of just buying gas. And if you look at that annually, with your gas costs, you're looking close to $1,000. Add on 10,000 miles in a year. That's typical commuter. And then you're gonna throw in a few oil changes on top of that. Probably go north of $11,000 or $1,100 rather. And you're barely hitting $200 with your battery electric vehicle or your plug-in hybrid. So, that's markets are going to be changing a lot, and we'll be seeing a lot more electric vehicles on the road in the future, I'm sure. So the last thing I want to look at was a DC fast charger. Unfortunately, the nearest DC fast charger that I'm aware of as close to me is 70 miles away, so I'm just going to do this through Google real quick. But I've seen online a lot of places tout that they're fast charging stations, although they're still a level 2 chargers like this. So this connector here is just the AC input to the vehicle, where the vehicle takes care of the onboard charger. It has converts the AC down to DC. But for the fast charger, basically what it is it bypasses the onboard charger. It has these heavier gauge lines to carry the current. So you're jumping from like 6 or 7 kilowatts with a level 2 charger to 25 kilowatts or more with a fast charger. So AC lines going in through the onboard charger, and this is all SAE J1772 standard. But when you go shopping around, like even with like the full battery electric vehicles, not just the plug-in hybrids with the internal combustion engine, but the battery electric vehicles, which are pure battery powered motive battery electric vehicles, you have to make sure that you have this option. If you want to charge your battery from 0% to 100% in less than a few hours, you're going to need the DC fast charge option, which is something like $1,000 extra typically. But yeah, it's all the SAE standard. So this is what the plug looks like. The level 2 chargers are basically, like I said, just a relay, so they're pretty cheap. They're $500 to $600. If you actually want a DC fast charger, it's going to cost you around $5,000. Is what I've seen them priced at, but you typically can't have those installed in a residence, because most residences are limited to the service panel is 100 amps. I know there's like the newer homes are equipped with 200 amp service panels, but if you want to charge your vehicle at 25 kilowatts, that's going to basically probably be overloading a 100 amp panel. So you won't be able to do that with like an older residence. But I mean, they're around. The dealership that I bought at, they say I can come anytime. They have a DC fast charger. It's just like I said, 70 miles away from my house, so I wasn't able to. Or I didn't really want to take the effort to go up there and do a little filming. But they're around. Some municipalities, depending, have some DC fast chargers that you can take advantage of. But that's my video for you guys. Hope you enjoy, and if you have any questions, I know so much, but you can send me a question. Maybe I can get an answer for you. But hope that provided you some good information, and I'll see you next time.